Welcome to the next video on me trying to clean up my life. So the last one that I made was making that GPU, the 1080 Ti with that GPU bracket, and then the all-in-one liquid cooler that I forced to fit on it. But there's definitely a cleaner install you could do with that if you planned on doing that, which I kind of tried to explain in that video, but there's a lot more to it. If for whatever reason I end up needing another graphics card, and if I want to do this again to the new graphics card, then I'm definitely going to be buying a new GPU bracket, and then from there I can do it with the correct order that I should have been doing it in from the beginning to make a shorter, simpler video that would basically illustrate how to make this properly. But anyway, that's that. So now it's installing Linux. So this is going to be what's the next video that we're doing here? I don't remember what I have lined up. Let's see. Okay, so this one here is going to be the mid upgrade video. So this is basically fixing the stuff that I couldn't finish at the time because I was waiting for parts to come in, and just cleaning up some cable management and stuff, but it's just boring stuff. But anyway, this is my mid upgrade to the computer after just upgrading everything. So, you know, enjoy. Okay, we are back and we have the panels off. We have NVMe's. And we can start taking things apart. I need a screwdriver. We have a screwdriver. Okay, so the SSDs are out. Okay, so that's SATA 1 and 2. And then we're only gonna need 3. So we can actually remove 2 of these SATA cables. So at least that's 2 cables gone. And the SSDs won't be there, so it'll be a little bit tighter along the back. I wonder if they make SATA power cable with 5 connectors on them. So that'd be really convenient to just have one. NZXT has this internal USB hub, lets you plug more of these in, which is basically the solution that I needed because there's only 2 on the motherboard and I need 3. So this would have been perfect. It has 1 in and then 3 out, and then 2 actual internal USB for like USB sticks or something, or like wireless dongles for your keyboard and mouse or whatever. I don't have those, so I don't need those. I only need 3 internal USB. However, this is $27. If I go on Amazon, it's currently unavailable and I can't get it. And because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I can't order it because nothing's coming across the border right now for personal expenses. So if I were to order it from NZXT directly, if I were able to get it, it would end up being $38 plus the import tax, and there's 13% on top of that. So I'm looking at like 45 bucks for this thing. I ended up picking this up off of Amazon for, I think it was $26. And this is the exact same thing in a super sketchy form factor. And it just has this cable, plugs into 1 internal USB header, has these 2 connectors here, which plug into these guys. And then you have 4. It ends up having a little bit more functionality than the NZXT one for me. So I'm only going to be using 3 of these, and I have a 4th one. If for whatever reason I need another RGB controller or fan controller or whatever, then I have that option. This ended up being the cheaper solution, not the most graceful, as it's just bare PCB with some really thick double-sided tape, foam double-sided tape. But hopefully this gets the job done for those all-in-one coolers, so then I can get everything set up again. We can flip this around. Unplug the power for the GPU. PCI extension cable. These out. GPU is free. I'll let that chill there for a minute. Now we gotta take these screws out. This should come out. Fan cables. What is holding this? Something is not allowing this to come out. What is it? I'm confused. I don't understand. Oh, right. The front fan plugs into this one. I think I just created a lot more work for myself. Now we should be able to pull these cables free. This is caught on the CPU power. There we go. So that's the RGB fan power. And then we have the RGB for the hub, and then the power for the fan. There should be 1 more connector for that fan plugged into the fan header on the back. The USB for the pump, or for the RGB on the front. So there we go. This sucks. And now we are in. So this cable I'm going to plug in, run these through, plug it into the second one, potentially give me a little bit more slack in the cables. So that's plugged in, route those down, that's good, everything's good. What? Oh, neat. So we're gonna start with this guy here. These do get stuck to the M.2. Okay, that wasn't too bad. We have the M.2 NVMe drive out. These are gonna be the new ones. First thing you're immediately gonna notice is that it has an integrated heat spreader. And that's not gonna fly because the motherboard has one built in. So we could run it without them, and these will suffice, but I'm actually gonna try and take these off. Let's just take the rest of these out first. There we go, brand new, unused. So we get to take that off. Right here, we have to put the standoff in. There we go, so that's the standoff and the screw. Look at that, they give you everything you need. And this can just go right here. A little tighten, nothing crazy. That's good. Oh, actually, I need another screw. They even give you a USB stick for when you're doing BIOS flashes. So we actually got another standoff, even though we don't need it. I'm assuming that's if you need one of the smaller ones because that's affixed to the motherboard. So now we have our screws. All we have to do is try and remove these heat spreaders. Doesn't look like they're clamped down very hard, so it should be able to be removed without much arguing. Let's just get it off. There we go. So actually you can see where it actually contacts, it's not actually doing anything through the middle. So if we show in comparison to this heat spreader, it's actually going to contact all of it. So this is actually going to provide a lot more cooling. That, it's giant. So that's one. Wow, these are really stuck on there. I mean, props to them. Quality materials, but like, god damn it. Two. There we are. 3 for 3. So we can actually see on the old one, well, I'm not sure if you can see, but these flash chips, they're actually made by Micron. These ones are made by ADATA. That's interesting. The newer model is actually made by them now. And now the only difference between this drive and this one, they're literally the same drive. This is just a newer model and it's the 1 terabyte one. We flip it over here to the sticker. You can actually see this one's called the Gamix S11 Pro 1 terabyte. This is the SX8200 512 gigabyte. But if you look at the PCB itself, SX8200, SX8200. So they're physically still the same drive. The only difference, the Gamix S11 Pro have these heat spreaders. So you might be thinking, well, why did I buy these ones with the heat spreaders when the regular drive is the same? Well, these were on sale for $10 cheaper. So I saved $30 by buying these instead of the SX8200. These ones ended up being cheaper. So now we can shove these in. Number 2 and number 3. Now we can take this off. And we can line this up here and put that down. Toss these screws back in. This one physically holds the M.2 and the heatsink in place. This one just holds the heatsink in place. And just go in. Just hold the other side of the heatsink down. So those two are done. Now we can lock this guy in. So it's a little bit different. There's this little groove right here. That's where this tab goes in. So it kind of slides in then down. And then trying to line it up because you're doing it blind. Now we can put the screw in. There we go. Everything's good. Make sure they're stuck down. Get good heat dissipation. So now we can begin reversing this whole process. Okay, so now, what am I doing? I have to try and figure out some kind of cable management for these things. I don't even know where I'm putting it. I could very ungracefully put it right over here. It is behind the GPU, so you wouldn't be able to see it. I could put it right here. That could work. On these bottom 3, have the cables run down, right across, come up through here. I mean, I would prefer to put it on the back. I just don't think there's going to be enough room for that. This isn't going to fit anywhere. Actually, I guess I could stick it right to the side of the power supply. That would have enough room, but the case could still close. Not a bad idea. And now with the SSDs not here, it will end up giving me a little bit more room. So I want to have the cables all down here. I think that probably going to be my best bet. Let's plug these in. This one right here, and this one right here. Just gonna route those down, like that. Stuff that right there in the corner. I like it. Now, before I change my mind, I have to make sure I can't reverse my steps. Wow, it's really on there. So now, this is for, what is this? That's for the X62. So plug that on down here. Just go right down there. Oh, look at this. This is clean. This is clean. Unlike the rest of everything else that I've done. There's the other one. So that is the RGB controller. Okay, starting to work. And this whole contraption is just gonna go in here. Okay, cool. Next. So now, the hard part. Remembering what all of these are when I put them through. So now one last thing that I wanted to do, and I'm not gonna do right now, is I wanted to make a little channel, because this is just a little bit close. It just kinda, it's right there. This just needs to go in here. All right. This can actually run down here and just plug right into number 2. Excellent. Everything? Question mark. Okay. See if everything works. Okay, we are in. We have the RAM illuminated. The X62 is illuminated. M22 illuminated. 120 is illuminated. Both 140s are illuminated. And the LED strip. All of the RGB is working. I'm gonna clean up some stuff here, make some room, and then we will set up this RAID 5 configuration. You won't be seeing how RAID 5 is created on this. The intro to this video was recorded about a week ago when I had started editing all of these videos. Now that I'm at the end of finishing this one, there's no outro to the video. So to put this simply, I had the whole thing working. This is before I knew anything about RAID and Linux. RAID and Linux, they can't be set up on the BIOS. You have to set up a software RAID with Linux. You can't use a hardware RAID in the BIOS like you can with Windows. So when I had initially set up the RAID 5, as well as RAID 0 on the NVMe's, so there was a huge downtime while I was trying to diagnose this and figure out what it was. I ended up having to learn MD-ADM just to try and figure the whole thing out. It took me like 3 days straight figuring this out. I have a whole write-up on Linus Tech Tips forum and Level 1 Techs, but basically it did work. So I went to go set up the RAID 5. Well, it did work. I set up the RAID 5, the RAID 0, everything was fine with Windows, but because I was doing all of this as a progression to switch over to Linux by, like new computer, new operating system, diving into a whole bunch of new things, and essentially just switching up my entire workflow, software, everything. I was relearning everything. So that's it. That's where it ends. The RGB works. It's still working 8 months later. Those sketchy Amazon things, they did a pretty good job. So props to wherever in China that those came from. It's definitely worth it. The NZXT one obviously looks significantly better, but these work, and they work really well. And with the price being around half as much as buying the NZXT ones, it was a pretty good trade-off. And I have an extra internal USB if I ever wanted to add something. I'm not sure what. I really can't think of anything else that I could fit inside this case. But that's pretty much it for this. The mid upgrade is done. The NVMe's are in. They're in RAID 0 now. All of the hard drives are in. They're in RAID 5. I have everything working. So this was essentially the hardware side of what was going on. So the next video in this series is going to be setting up RAID. So if you had any questions or anything, just leave them in the comments. Like the video if you liked it, dislike the video if you didn't like it, subscribe to the channel. That's always cool. That helps out. Or, don't do any of it. I'm not telling you what to do.